I've been getting into retro handhelds recently, and today we're going to look at two ANBERNIC devices, the RG351P, which is the plastic version, and also the RG351M, which is the metallic version. Now, they're actually very similar handhelds. They have the same processor inside, so they play the same games. Today, what I want to actually do is talk a little bit about the differences between the two systems and how the material actually affects the playing experience. And also I want to talk a little bit about how to choose which system is right for you. Okay, so if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And we also have a Discord, so come along and join us there, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so let's go over the specs and the capabilities of the systems quickly. The name RG351 actually tells us a lot about the device. The 35 means that this is a 3.5-inch LCD display and has a resolution of 480 by 320. This is twice the resolution of Game Boy Advance games, so those games look really nice on this system. The 1 actually stands for the processor. It's a Rockchip 3326, which is a quad-core 1.5 GHz ARM processor, and the device has 1GB DDR3 RAM and runs on Linux. The included OS out of the box is EMU-elec, but I'd recommend installing a custom firmware developed by the retro community, and these have many useful features and definitely worth the time and effort to do so. Because both systems have the same internals, they play the same games, so it'll play up to PlayStation 1 games very well. Nintendo 64 is fine, but not perfect, and Dreamcast and PSP games are a bit of a bonus, as only about 25 to 30% of the library work here. In this video though, I won't be talking about the games and how it performs. I still want to play with the system a little bit more, so I'll save that for another video. Today, I just want to talk about the three differences between the two systems. The first is internal Wi-Fi on the RG351M. The second, of course, is the metallic shell, and finally, the price difference. Let's start with the internal Wi-Fi. The RG351P does not have an internal Wi-Fi chip, so for any Wi-Fi, you'll need to attach your own Wi-Fi dongle. When you purchase your RG351P, some resellers and ANBERNIC themselves do include a combo pack for the RG351P, which comes with a screen protector, a case for the handheld, and a Wi-Fi dongle. So if you get the 351P, I do recommend that pack, as you'll know that the Wi-Fi dongle will work with the system. The other thing to note is that there are two USB-C ports on the RG351P, and the Wi-Fi dongle is USB-A, but they also provide a USB-C to USB-A adapter. As there aren't any USB-C Wi-Fi dongles on the market right now, this does make the RG351P with the dongle stick out rather awkwardly, and actually is one of the main reasons I decided to get the RG351M for the second device. Some people may decide they don't need Wi-Fi as much. For example, if you transfer files over a micro SD card and just want to play games on the device, then Wi-Fi may not be that important, and the RG351P may be a better option in that case. But if you want to do two-player netplay and use retro achievements, which requires the device to be online, then Wi-Fi may be more important to you, and in that case, the RG351M with internal Wi-Fi may be a better choice. Let's talk about the difference in the body. The RG351P uses a plastic shell, and the RG351M uses a metallic shell. One of the things that surprised me was how heavy the RG351M was compared to the RG351P. The RG351P weighs in at 190 grams, while the RG351M weighs 260 grams, a difference of about 70 grams. Even though that doesn't sound like much, it is noticeably heavier in the hand. I think people who order just the RG351M will feel it is considerably heavier when compared to your average PS4 controller or mobile phone. The PS4 controller weighs 210 grams, while the iPhone 12 weighs just 160 grams. The fact both the RG351P and M have the exact same volume also makes it feel that much heavier. It also translates into a different playing experience between the two devices. With the RG351P, it's a lighter and, in my opinion, a better playing experience. I can play for longer periods of time and not feel any fatigue in the arms, hands, or fingers. The 3.5-inch screen means that while it's a reasonable size for retro games, and text and UI are okay at arm's length, The best playing experience is when the screen is about 30 centimeters to a foot away. This means that the device is usually raised somewhat, whether playing in a sofa or a bed, and the weight of the device can induce some fatigue. The weight of the RG351M does mean it gets tiring quicker than an RG351P. Another issue that arises with the weight, and one that I did not expect, is that some games with lots of D-pad usage can result in tired hands and fingers. I was surprised after even half an hour of gameplay in fighting games with lots of fireballs and dragon punch movements, my fingers were actually quite tired. One reason I think this might be the case is that quick demanding movements require more force, and to counter this force you need a reactionary force equal to that force and also the weight of the controller. This doesn't happen in all games. More relaxing games like strategy games or RPGs can be played for longer, but fighting games and action games tend to tire quicker. I asked myself why on heavier handhelds like the Switch or Vita this doesn't happen as much, and I think the reason it doesn't is that many games use the analog stick, and moving the analog stick all the way takes less force than a D-pad press. That said, even a raised Switch that's closer to the face can be tiring too. Obviously, the weight issue is very subjective. If you're a Street Fighter Pro and you practice 12 hours a day on control pads, the weight may be a non-issue. Or perhaps you bench 400 pounds and then I don't think the RG351M will be a problem. But I did want to talk about the additional weight, and it does change the playing experience a little. When I first got the RG351M, I did feel like the weight was a deal breaker, especially as the second one was for 2-player netplay for the kids who would have more trouble with the heavier device. So I ordered a second RG351P, which is why I have 3 devices. But after playing for a week or so, the RG351M weight isn't too bad, and I have grown into it a bit. Finally, let's talk about the price. Generally speaking, there's a $40 difference between the 2 devices. The RG351P can be found for $90 to $100, while the RG351M can be around $130 to $140. Is the metallic shell and internal Wi-Fi worth the extra $40? The funny thing is that even though technically the Wi-Fi alone isn't worth that at all, I was willing to shell out the extra money just to not use a dongle for Wi-Fi. I think the Wi-Fi dongle ruins so much that's great about the device. The device is actually fairly pocketable, but the dongle just gives it an odd shape. It just ruins what is a very good design. The metallic shell is actually very elegant to look at and premium feeling. The metal is super smooth and the whole thing just screams high quality. The thing is, the RG351P is also a very high quality handheld in its own right. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the plastic in use here. It is solid and awesome. The RG351M is on another level when it comes to the finish. But then, as I said, it's just a bit heavy, which is a total head scratcher, because while the RG351M is beautiful to look at, I'd rather use the lighter RG351P. So, in conclusion, if you don't mind the weight and you don't want a Wi-Fi dongle, then yeah, I think the extra $40 is worth it to get the one with the internal Wi-Fi, the RG351M here. However, for me and my kids, I think we'll be using the RG351P more, even though it has a Wi-Fi dongle that sticks out a little bit like a sore thumb. Speaking of thumbs, make sure to hit the like button if you like this video, and also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.